I used to believe marriage was built on effort, on the small daily choice to stay, to care, to reach out, even when everything else felt heavy or dull. I thought that was the quiet agreement we'd made. Show up, every day, even when it isn't easy. That belief lasted right up until she looked me in the eye, calm, detached, and said the words that rewrote everything. I don't have to make you happy. At first, I actually laughed. I waited for a smile, a teasing glint, some sign that she was joking, but her expression didn't soften. She wasn't exaggerating. She meant every syllable. We'd been arguing about something small, something that shouldn't have mattered. A petty complaint about how distant she'd been lately, how I felt like a background sound in her life. I told her I missed her, that I wanted to feel close again, and that was her answer. I don't have to make you happy. The sentence hit harder than any insult could. It stripped the air out of the kitchen. I remember standing there with my hand gripping the counter, grounding myself against the quiet. So what are we doing then? I asked finally, my voice quieter than I expected. Her sigh was long, theatrical, as if I were a persistent email she'd been meaning to delete. You act like I'm supposed to entertain you or cater to you 24/7, she said. I have my own life, my own happiness to think about. Your happiness, that's on you, not me. Dismissive, casual. A statement dropped like paperwork on a desk. Something in my chest tightened. Not anger exactly, but something heavier. I wanted to argue. To tell her that marriage isn't just his and hers, it's ours. That we're supposed to carry each other sometimes. That's the point. But I stayed silent. Because in that moment, clarity arrived like a light switching on. She didn't see us as we, just me and the rest. And I suddenly realized I was the only one still trying. The only one fighting for us. She looked at me with the kind of patience you reserve for someone too stubborn to understand evolution. Like I was still clinging to outdated software she'd already uninstalled. I'm not sure why it hit as hard as it did. Maybe because, deep down, I already knew. The signs had been waving at me for months. The small slights I'd filed away as stress. The quiet dismissals dressed in charm. The eye rolls when I tried to be affectionate. The one-word answers to my messages, followed immediately by her posting stories online. The way she stopped asking about my day altogether, as if the details didn't fit into her world anymore. I'd ignored every warning. Told myself it was a phase. That once work calmed down, once life evened out, she'd find her way back. But now she was saying aloud what she'd been showing me for months. My happiness wasn't her concern, and I had to ask myself, had it ever been? I thought about all the things I'd done, not out of obligation but love. The little notes left on the counter before I headed to work. The texts saying, drive safe or grab breakfast, you'll need it. The coffee brewed the way she liked. The dinners planned around her favorite dishes. Listening to her stress when I was drowning in my own, quietly keeping us steady. When had she last done any of that for me? I couldn't even remember. That night, after she carved those words between us like a border, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. She was next to me, turned away, her face bathed in the blue glow of her phone screen. She didn't care that she'd said something that cracked the foundation of our marriage. She didn't care that I was silently staring at her, seeing her in a way I never had before. And that was the moment something inside me shifted. I decided I wasn't going to lecture her into loving me. I wasn't going to beg for scraps of attention, for warmth, for the basic courtesy of being considered. If she truly believed she wasn't responsible for my happiness, then fine. She didn't need to worry about mine. But she was about to find out how it felt when I stopped worrying about hers. No grand confrontation. No declaration. I didn't say, since you don't care about my happiness, I'll stop caring about yours. That would have given her something to fight against. Something dramatic to feed on. No. She'd feel it. Slowly. Intimately. The first change was simple. I stopped checking in. For years, I'd been the one sending little messages during the day. How's work? You eaten? Need me to pick up dinner? Tiny threads that held us connected even when life was busy. The morning after her declaration, I said nothing. I grabbed my keys and walked out the door without the usual, drive safe. My silence followed me into the car, into the day. At work, my phone buzzed. A single text from her. Did you already leave? I looked at it, smirked, locked the screen. No reply. That evening, I came home the way she usually did. Late, detached. The kitchen was still cluttered from the night before, the sink full of dishes. I sat on the couch with my phone, scrolling idly. She came in, unhooked her purse, and frowned. Seriously? I raised an eyebrow. What? The dishes. You didn't clean them? I shrugged. Assumed you'd handle it. Her mouth opened, closed. For a few seconds she just stood there, caught between frustration and disbelief. Then she turned to the sink, rolled up her sleeves, and started washing them herself. And for the first time in years, I didn't rush in to help. At first, she thought I was sulking. A mood, she told herself. Something temporary. But I wasn't moody. I was finished. Day by day, I pulled further back. Stopped initiating conversation. Stopped reaching out. Stopped playing the part of the caretaker she'd taken for granted. And soon enough, she noticed. It took about a week before she finally cracked the silence. We were eating takeout, cold noodles, separate corners of the couch. She set her fork down with a small clatter. You've been off. I looked up casually. What do you mean? You're distant. Cold. You barely talk to me anymore. I took a sip of my drink before answering. I guess I just realized something. She frowned. What's that? I met her eyes. That my happiness is my own problem, not yours. The flicker of recognition hit instantly. The memory of her own words thrown back like a mirror she didn't expect to face. She shifted, discomfort showing through her usually polished calm. That's not what I meant, she said, voice quieter now. Really? I asked, leaning back. Because it's exactly what you said. She inhaled sharply, bit her lip. Okay, but you don't have to act like this. You're being dramatic. I laughed once, soft. Dramatic? No, just learning from you. For the first time, she didn't have an answer. Her fork scraped half-heartedly against her plate, her appetite gone. She tried to pretend the silence between us wasn't thick enough to choke on. After that, she started trying. Little things at first, texts during the day, vague attempts at conversation, asking if I wanted to watch a movie, offering to make dinner. I stayed polite, but unmoved. If she wanted connection, she'd have to earn it. Days passed, and I could sense her confusion building, like static in the room. I'd see the way she studied me when she thought I wasn't looking, unsure, nervous, testing her words with care. And then one night, passing by the hallway near our bedroom, I heard her voice. I don't know what's wrong with him, she whispered into her phone. It's like he doesn't care anymore. Her best friend murmured something back, too low to catch. I nearly laughed out loud. The irony was pure. She wasn't wrong. I didn't care, not in the way she was used to being cared for. I wasn't angry, though. I wasn't spiteful. I was simply balanced for the first time in years, matching her tempo, breath for breath, silence for silence. She had declared that my happiness wasn't her responsibility. Now, she was learning what it felt like to live by her own doctrine. Because the truth about relationships is simple. You don't miss the fireworks. You miss the small patterns, the invisible rhythm that made you feel safe, seen, secure. And slowly, she was starting to feel the loss of consistency she'd once assumed was automatic. While I, for the first time in a long time, finally felt steady again. Loved, secure, and appreciated, and she had taken it for granted. So now, she was getting a taste of what life looked like when her happiness was no longer my priority and she didn't like it. The first real crack came one evening when he got home from work. Usually she barely acknowledged me, just a quick nod, maybe a mumbled, "Hey," while scrolling on her phone, but tonight was different. She was waiting for me. "Hey," she said as soon as I stepped through the door, "how was work?" I almost laughed. For years she hadn't bothered to ask, and now suddenly she cared. I shrugged, walking past. Her Tose down my bag. Fine. I could feel her watching me, waiting for me to engage Tosk about her day, to start a conversation, but I didn't, because that's what she wanted. She wanted me to slip back into old habits to make it easy for her. But I wasn't playing the game anymore. A few days later, I went out with some coworkers for drinks after work. I hadn't told her. In advance, I didn't ask for permission, why would I? She didn't think she owed me anything, so why should I keep bending over backward to keep her in the loop at around 9 p.m.? I checked my phone to see 3 missed calls from her, and a text her, "Where are you?" I let it sit for a while before replying me out. 15 minutes later, she called again. This time, I answered. "Hey," I said, taking a sip of my drink. "Something wrong? Where are you?" She repeated. "I told you," I said, keeping my tone casual. "I'm out." She let out a frustrated sigh. "Well, when are you coming home?" I smirked. "Not sure." Didn't think it mattered. Silence. I could practically hear the gears turning in her head before she could say anything else. I ended the call, and for the first time in a long time I felt free. The next morning something changed for the first time in months, maybe even years. She cooked breakfast, not just for herself, for both of us. I walked into the kitchen to find a plate of eggs and toast waiting for me. She was standing by the stove, pretending to be casual about it. "Figured I'd make you something before work." I leaned against the counter, staring at the plate. "Why?" I asked. She blinked, caught off guard. "What? Do you mean why you never cared before?" She frowned. "That's not true." I gave her a pointed look. "Really? When's the last time you did something for me without me having to ask?" She didn't have an answer, because we both knew the truth. It wasn't just at home. The shift between us was visible. Her friends started noticing. One night we were out at dinner with a group, and one of her closest friends, Sarah, gave me a curious look. "You've been really quiet tonight," she said. I just smiled. "Goo. I don't have much to say." Sarah glanced at my wife, then back at me. "Everything okay between you two before?" I could answer my wife, forced to laugh. "Yeah, of course, he's just been busy with work." I watched her. She was lying, because deep down she knew things weren't okay, but she wasn't ready to admit it, yet not in front of them, not even to herself. That night after we got home, she finally snapped. She waited until we were in the bedroom, then turned to face me, arms crossed. "Are you trying to punish me?" I raised an eyebrow. "For what you know what?" I tilted my head. "Do I?" She let out a frustrated breath. "You're acting different. You're distant, cold. You don't care about anything anymore." I took a slow step toward her, my voice calm. "You mean I stopped trying to make you happy?" She flinched because she knew. She knew I was throwing her own words back at her. He leaned in just slightly, my voice barely above a whisper. "Feels shitty, doesn't it?" For the first time she had nothing to say. She just stood there staring at me. Realization sinking in, because this was the moment she understood. This was the moment. She realized that when I stopped caring, everything changed. And for the first time since she said those words to me, she was afraid something had shifted in her. I could see it for the first time. In years, she was no longer the one in control. She had gotten used to me chasing her, used to me bending, adjusting, sacrificing to make things work. Now I wasn't playing anymore. And she was starting to panic. At first, she tried to act like nothing was wrong. She still posted her perfect little picture online, laughing with her friends, showing off her new outfit, pretending like life was just fine. But I saw the way her eyes flickered to me when she thought I wasn't looking. I saw how she hesitated before speaking, how her fingers twitched when she reached for her phone. She was nervous, because for the first time since we got together, she had no idea what I was thinking. It started small. The sudden affection, the way she started reaching for my hand when we were out, like she wanted to remind people we were still fine. The way she leaned into me when we were sitting together, something she hadn't done in months. The way she texted me more often throughout the day. Her "hope you're having a good day." Her "what do you want for dinner tonight?" Her "you miss me now." She missed me. I stared at the message for a long moment before locking my phone. No reply, because she didn't miss me. She missed the man who worshipped her. She missed the version of me who spent his days making sure she was happy, no matter how little she gave in return. She wasn't trying to fix things. She was trying to reset the balance. But that version of me, he was gone. After a few days of me barely responding to her attempts, her patience snapped. One evening I was sitting on the couch scrolling through my phone when she stormed into the room. "Are we just going to keep acting like this?" I didn't look up. "Like what? Like strangers?" She shot back. "Like we don't even know each other." I exhaled through my nose, setting my phone down. "You mean the way you've been acting for the past year?" Her mouth opened, then closed, because she knew I was right. "I told you." I continued, my voice calm. "Your happiness isn't my job, just like mine wasn't yours." She winced, the weight of her own words finally pressing down on her. "But that's not She hesitated, biting her lip. I didn't mean it like that. I leaned back, studying her. Then, how did you mean it? She let out a breath, crossing her arms. I don't know, I was just frustrated. I felt like you expected too much from me. I nodded slowly, and now that I expect nothing you don't like. It's silence. She couldn't argue with that, because deep down she knew the truth. She hadn't wanted to be responsible for my happiness until she realized what life looked like when her own happiness wasn't my priority either. She didn't just feel the shift at home. Her friends started noticing too. A few of them pulled her aside, asking if things were okay between us. One even messaged me, privately. Sarah. Hey, I don't mean to pry, but is everything all right between you two? She seems off lately. I stared at the message for a long moment before typing. My reply, me, she's just adjusting to the way things are now. No further explanation, no long speech. Just the simple truth, and sure enough, she must have sensed the growing tension, because one night after dinner she finally cracked. We need to fix this. I looked up from my drink, raising an eyebrow. Fix what? Her jaw clenched us. I tilted my head slightly. You mean me? You mean the way have changed? She shifted in her seat, clearly uncomfortable. I don't like the way things are between us. Feel like I'm losing you. I let out a small, humorless chuckle. You already did. You just didn't notice until now. Her lips parted, shock flashing across her face. She hadn't expected me to say it out loud. She had spent so much time assuming I'd always be there, always trying, always fixing. But now she was the one trying to fix things. And I wasn't sure if I even wanted to be fixed anymore. It happened about a week later. She came home late from work, looking tired, defeated. I barely acknowledged her. She went straight to the bedroom, closing the door behind her. I figured she just needed space, but then I heard it. Soft, muffled sobs. For a second I just stood there. This was new. She wasn't the type to cry. Not like this, not quietly alone in the dark. And for the first time in weeks, I felt a small say of something. But I didn't go to her. I didn't knock, because this was her moment to finally understand, to feel what it was like when the person you counted on, the person you assumed would always be, there was suddenly gone. Even though I was just down the hall, I knew she felt alone, because I wasn't hers anymore, at least not in the way she had always assumed I would be. The next morning she was quiet. Her eyes were swollen from crying, but she didn't say a word about it. She just watched me, searching for something in my expression. Some sign that I still cared, but I didn't give her one, not yet. Because I wanted her to sit with this, to feel the weight of it, to finally understand what she had done. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about punishment. It was about balance. For years I had carried this relationship alone. Now it was her turn. The silence between us was suffocating. For weeks she had been trying to reach me, trying to fix what she never thought could break, but I wasn't making it easy for her. Not because I wanted revenge, not because I wanted to see her suffer, but because I needed her to understand, to finally feel the weight of what she had done. And that night, when she finally spoke the words I never thought I'd hear from her, I knew she did. I was wrong. It was quiet, barely above a whisper. I almost didn't hear it. But when I turned to look at her, the expression on her face told me everything. Tears welled in her eyes, her fingers gripping the fabric of her sweatshirt, as if she needed something to hold on to. I was wrong, she said again, voice trembling this time. I thought I didn't have to make you happy. I thought you'd always be there, no matter what. I just stared at her, because this was the moment she had broken, the moment she had finally come face to face with the damage she had done. And now she was terrified that it was too late. I took a slow breath, letting her words settle between us. Then I leaned back against the counter, crossing my arms, and now I asked, my voice steady. Now that you finally realize it, what do you expect me to do? She swallowed hard. I don't know, she admitted. I just want to fix this. I let out a humorless laugh. Fix it? She flinched. You don't get to just snap your fingers and fix this, I said, my tone sharper. Now, you spent years treating me like I didn't matter, like my happiness wasn't your concern, and now suddenly it is. Her breath hitched. I thought she trailed off, biting her lip. I thought you'd never leave. I exhaled slowly, shaking my head. That's the problem, her brows furrowed, tears now slipping down. Her cheeks, what do you mean? I held. Her gaze, my voice firm. You never thought you had to try. You never thought I'd walk away, you thought I'd just stay, no matter how unhappy I was, because I always did. She pressed a hand over her mouth, choking on a quiet sob, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel sorry for her. I didn't feel the need to comfort her, to tell her everything would be okay, because I wasn't sure it would be. She reached for my hand. I didn't move. Please, she whispered. I don't want to lose you. Stared at her fingers, at the desperation in the way she clutched at me now after years of acting like I was disposable. And I had to ask myself, did she love me? Or did she love what I had given her? The attention, the security, the certainty that no matter what I'd always be there, because that's what she was really mourning, not just the relationship, but the version of me that put her first no matter what. That man was gone. And I wasn't sure I wanted to bring him back. She was crying now. The same woman who once dismissed my pain as my own problem was now begging me to stay. But I wasn't the man who needed to convince her to love me anymore. I was the man who had to decide, did I even want this? Did I want her? I let out a slow breath, my heart hammering in my chest. Then I said, the words that would change everything. I don't know if I can do this anymore. Her breath caught her whole body and sang, You don't mean that. I held her gaze. I do. Her lips trembled. But I'm here now. I want to try. I let out a bitter chuckle. And what happens when you get comfortable again, when you stop trying, when it goes back to how it was before? She froze, because we both knew this wasn't about a single apology. This was about who she had been for years. This was about the pattern. And now that I had tasted what it was like to put myself first, I wasn't sure I could go back. She shook her head, more desperate now. I can change. I swear. Can you? I cut in. Her lips parted. And she didn't answer, because deep down she wasn't sure either. She wanted me to believe it. She wanted to believe it herself. But some things can't be undone. Some things break beyond repair. And as I stood there watching her fall apart, I realized I was already gone. Maybe not physically, not yet, but mentally, emotionally. I had checked out long before this moment, because I had already learned what life felt like without her. And for the first time in a long time, I liked it. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.